Josh, welcome to the shed, my man. It's finally happening.
It's about time, Freddie.
Dude, since I first started doing these videos, you were the first guy I wanted to have. And I finally made it up to upstate New York.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have you here. We're actually in my shed right here with this wonderful Christmas tree. What a backdrop, and I'm always excited to talk to you. We do a lot of talking when we're together, but I always take a lot from it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I gotta tell you guys first things. Josh goes all out for Christmas. His wonderful home is decked out to the nines.
I love Christmas. What can I say? I'm guilty, man.
This is one of 3 trees.
Well, 3 main trees. If you were to count up all the trees, I think there's like 16, honestly. But we have 3 main trees, and yeah, I like Christmas. You know, it's honestly not to try to get overly deep about it. To me, it's about capturing a feeling, and I feel like a kid again for the briefest little spells. The shimmer of the lights, and it just, there's like a haunting beauty to it. I was telling you before how people drive by. I have a magical forest, I call it, where all these lights are lit up in the trees, and when people stop and take pictures, it just makes my day. It's like
and another thing, Josh and I went to the gym this morning.
That we did, yeah.
6 a.m. this guy gets up to go. Is that what time you got up?
But that's the later class.
Oh.
We were gonna get up at 4:30 a.m. But that class
I don't
was
know
too.
if I was gonna make it to that though.
I feel like you would have, dude. Like, okay, I turned the light on and you were like, "Yeah, baby," you were ready to go.
That's my. I have a talent where you could come in at 2 a.m. and like Fred, and I'd be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Oh, that's your like, "I'm up, mom," voice.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. Just because getting.
That's gangster.
So, talking about, of course, our musical paths crossing. I always like to relate the guests that I have on to some of my history. And I was thinking, 2022 is in less than a month, and that year will be basically 20 years that I've known you.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of ridiculous.
Oh man, that is like a sobering thought. Holy cow, dude.
Yeah, we first saw you. We played together at CBGB's.
Was that the first time? Because it gets jumbled in my mind. We played so many shows together, and these were important shows. There's a time during the touring, like Tapestry, where they all blend together and kind of become one. Like that happens. But I remember every Breaking Pangea show, but there's so many. I guess it was CBGB's, and that's where we met for the first time.
Yeah, so by the way, I was in Breaking Pangea when I met Coheed in Cambria, and
we were a brand new. We could not have been more green.
Yeah, you had one song out that was not even out at that time, but the first thing everyone heard was a CD sampler.
Yeah, totally. With what, Delirium Trigger on it?
Yeah. And so we went to New York, and it was not a great show, but it was fine. And I remember the way you played at that show, the open hand drumming, and you stood out as something special.
I wasn't as well versed in like underground music as Claudio and Travis. I really learned a lot from them, but like, if a band like Breaking Pangea had rolled through Kingston, like, it would have just taken over. Like, it was so good and felt unique. It felt special to watch. And I remember being, like, psyched, inspired, but also intimidated. If I'm being honest, like, I was young and I was like, oh my God. And I don't mean to diss anybody, but then we would see some other bands and we're like, okay, we're all right. These are humans. These other guys,
Yeah, so actually, we went out on tour with you guys.
Yeah, it was our first tour,
Yeah, and you had the Green Monster van.
Yeah.
And I noticed you getting better and better every show, actually.
Yeah, like you mean as the band? Like, we had a lot to learn, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. Like, I thought we had something special. I mean, I was a fan. That's why I was in the band. I wanted to be a part of this thing. We had a lot to learn, though, and we learned a lot of it from you guys. And, dare I say, there are still things that we took on from those early Breaking Pangea Coheed shows that still rear their heads today. These were like big, it basically, no, this isn't like conjecture at all. This is, I've told you this, this, but you guys laid the groundwork for how to be a touring band and how to do it without being an idiot. And I think that's one of the reasons, if not the main reason, why we were like the last band to get a bus. Like we were like taking off and every other band had a bus, and we did, like we were about trying to be like as crafty as possible. Where do you think we got that from? I mean, that was from you guys. And I remember sleeping in parking lots, and I remember, you know, you don't pick what sticks. That's my little saying. You can't really, I've tried to make things stick and they're gone the next day, and other weird things that have no, at least face value meaning to me. But I remember eating 4 Wendy's chilies, and I was like, Fred, they're low fat. And you were like, yeah, not if you eat 4 of them. And I was like, oh, that's probably true. I don't know why I remember that, but these were great times, man. It was like camping.
It was those early days. Everything was new to us.
Yeah, special. I mean, talk about it. We'd never been on tour before, and you guys were kind to us. I want to emphasize that. You were intimidating, but then kind. I remember listening to the mixed version of Second Stage Turbine Blade.
I wanted to bring that up because that's one of the biggest memories that sticks with me.
Yeah.
I talk about that to a lot of other people. This is just big in general for me. We were in Wilkes-Barre, PA, and you guys received like a package with a burned CD of Second Stage Turbine Blade mixed. And you had a boom box in the van.
Holy shit, we did.
Your stereo didn't work.
Yes.
And I sat in there with Mike. Actually, he was hearing his songs for the first time with guitar and vocals on it.
Yeah, like some of that stuff we probably hadn't even really like absorbed or experienced, and we're hearing it. Like, it was incredible.
Yeah, and then that night you stayed at my house in PA. We drove 2.5 hours south, stayed at my house in Coatesville, and in the morning I had one of those Iowa stereos that everyone had. With the, you know, that everyone had like the unit, you know, and
what did we listen to it on
and
that?
So you were like, we woke up and like, it was like, you know, I think Elena was making pancakes, and you guys were like, hey, first things first, can we use your stereo to listen to our new album?
That's awesome.
And I was like, oh, dude, I'm going to get to hear this, you know, this is amazing. So, yeah, we put it on.
See, that's funny, man. I don't remember that part of it, but I remember the van. And
I remember you were all standing, including Claudio, just standing with, you know, and just staring at the speakers and just hearing your record, Second Stage Turbine Blade, for the first time. And, like, I didn't know that I was witnessing history, but now I feel like I did, you know. I feel like,
man,
wow,
that's a special memory. I remember being at your house, but again, you don't pick what sticks. Like, I remember the van, though, and I remember you saying to me that you liked that they didn't mix the guitars way too loud, that you felt like a lot of records had, like, ultra-loud guitars. And I tried to probably we did that on purpose, you know, and that's totally not true. We had no clue. That record was mixed, I mean, I've told this a lot of times, but it's true, was mixed during the commercials because the Yankees were in the World Series, and the mixer would not mix during the game. Like, we'd be like 3 minutes at a time, and like if the Yankees were winning, he's like, song's pretty good, you guys got a future. But if the Yankees were losing, he'd be like, let's mix this piece of shit punk rock shit song. And it was, you know, I wouldn't change a thing about it, honestly, dude. I would not change one thing about it.
So, I mean, as I remember right away, it was getting good reviews, you know, from kids, and like you would start going to shows, and the drummer would warm up with, you know, your beat in the first song, and I'd be like, he's playing Josh's part. Like what? Like I would be in like Kansas, and
you can imagine how thrilling that was for me.
Holy shit, you know.
The drummer from Lagwagon came up to me and was like, "Man, I wish I wrote that beat." And I was like, "Well, it's just da 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 da." But he's like, "Yeah, but it's so perfect." But you know, it was really special to me. That
I mean that was like a thing, and
I get all like. These are powerful memories.
No,
and who would have thought 20 years later we'd be sitting here in front of this gorgeous Christmas tree rapping about this shit? I mean, the whole scope and reach of that record really surpassed. People say this a lot, but this is really true. Like our wildest dreams. Like this was not happening to us. No way. And like, you know, if it never got any bigger than that, it had already blown our minds. You know, it was like, oh my God, we're in Baltimore and there's people here singing our songs. And we were just like, they also, you know, when you're a young band like that, they had us on tour like 9 months out of the year.
Yeah, well, that was the next thing is you guys just you were gone and we didn't see you for a while after that.
Nobody saw it. We saw each other, and that's about it. But I honestly, dude, sometimes you want to say things in life, not just me, but like I don't mean this, and like I do mean this. I don't mean this in a way that's like trying to be ass kissy to you. Pardon my like lack of English language, but I always felt like we were like making you guys proud in a way. Like you guys had experience. You guys took us under your wing in a way and showed us about parking at rest stops and how to save money, and we kept the per diem that you guys did, and we did what you guys did, and like I always would think like if this was Fred and the guys, like they'd do it, and like we just did the Coheed cruise, and I sent you the picture. There's the Breaking Pangea thing. It's just there's a marriage there that'll just be forever. You can't go in the past and change it, and it's like cemented together.
So Terrible Things was a band Josh and I did together with Andy Jackson from a band called Hot Rod Circuit. We did it at full length and then
put out a record on Universal Motown. I mean, we went for this thing, and Fred again was like kind enough to invite me in, and it was like a total life altering. I just wouldn't be sitting. We don't have to get all into it, but I wouldn't be sitting here right now and enjoy this life of leisure if it wasn't for that opportunity. So.
You and I had something seriously in common at that time, which we had been in bands that were the biggest bands in the world for a second.
Yeah.
And now we had both quit those bands.
Yeah, and we connected in a way that how many people, none of us know Pete Best's number, so it's like we don't have, isn't that the original drummer from the Beatles?
Yeah, probably.
I found a home in, it was so cathartic for me to talk to somebody who understood like just what it feels like to kind of like feel that. It's a unique feeling,
very few people would leave a successful job.
And ours were completely different reasons and
whatnot,
but we still,
I
found
up
a
in the same spot. Yeah. And so, I couldn't talk to a lot of people that knew how that felt to want to leave or to like shit. Now I left. Do I regret it? Do I not regret it? But you knew right where I was coming from. So
I knew enough. Even though our situations are different, there's enough similarities that we could really connect. And those long drives just served me and continue to in such a power. So much growth that happened for me, and so much understanding of my. I don't know that I'd ever be, not just from playing in Terrible Things, but from like what I really learned, like with all those late night talks in the van about my own responsibility and what did I really want. I remember in Jason Elgin's studio, he had the coolest studio. The drum room is downstairs. It's this old department store.
Yeah, really cool.
Really, really sick spot. Outside of Birmingham, really good, like an industrial part of town, awesome studio. And I'm nervous. It's been a while. I want this. And me and Freddie have this history, and we talk on the phone, and I try to like feign as like this cocky. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna come in and kill this, but I'm terrified. And then we rehearse, and then we're in the studio, and I play through the song, and I'm feeling so like, oh, I just ripped that shit. And Elgin gets on the talk back, and he goes, I don't know where to start. And I'm like, please mean that he doesn't know where to start telling me how great it is. Please mean he's like, come up here. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And we got it though. I after the first record that when I came back to Coheed, I called Elgin and thanked him. I learned so much on that album about, not to get too drummery on you, but I naturally just place things like, no beat is ever, for Josh, it's always, that's just
laying back a little bit.
Yeah, that's just where my natural pocket was. And with Elgin, I really learned about driving until that last bar, and it makes that little back matter even more. And there's really not a song that goes by that I don't plug in things that I learned on that Terrible Things record. And I called Elgin and told him that. I tried to get Elgin to mix that Coheed record. He did a song. I thought he crushed it.
You've always been in my top 5 drummers of all time, and that sounds ridiculous because we're friends, but I felt that way. Clint Stelfox would, after you left Coheed, he sent me some YouTube videos of you like playing in the studio, and we were just like, God damn, like, where is this guy? We gotta find this guy.
I'm sure glad you did, man. And I was kind of hard to find. Like,
Yeah.
I was not out and about. I was hiding. I was ashamed, and I was coming out of the fog. That was the kick. That was the push in the ass that got me out of the fog. Really, I mean, it was. I had moved to Albany. I mean, my wife deserves a lot of credit. She dragged me to Albany,
yeah.
kicking and screaming.
She's a saint.
Yeah, I mean, you and her saved my life. I mean, if there's two people that I can point to that were the catalyst, that's not an oversell. That's really the truth.
So,
the band, and that's you. So it was, it really did.
The thing that I felt was, and I had good people in place, Dennis, Pat, and we had a nice crew at that time.
Yeah, I remember being in the Terrible Things van, and at some point being like, I don't know if I've ever admitted to this, but like, even as I joined Terrible Things, I'm pretty sure that I planned on doing drugs again. I'm pretty sure this was just some time to get people off my back, but I would still, I was fresh out of this mess.
Yeah.
But here we are, we're working, and at some point, like, enough time had gone by where I'm like, doing the dates in my head, and I'm like, holy shit, it's been a year and a half, or it's been 2 years, and I'm like, oh my God, like, and then through Terrible Things, just like, it takes time to die, and it's one of those things I just know in my soul that if it wasn't for the band and the opportunity, I mean, how many people are getting a call like, hey, there's this major label deal on the table, and we want you to just join the band. You don't have to try out. Come on, you're in the band. And I was like, I'm on my way. Like, no one. I'm so lucky. I'm blessed, man. I'm really fortunate. But that was really the kind of final, hey, man, I'm sorry, heroin addiction doesn't die from a jab. It doesn't die from a punch and a kick. You gotta really cream that thing, and that was the final kick in its ass for me. Looking back now, I don't even know that I was aware of that then, but looking back right now, for sure, absolutely.
We just went to see you in Jersey 2 months ago, and biggest show I think I've ever seen you headline.
Yeah.
I mean, Coheed is on fire more than ever.
It's wild.
New single is top 10 at
cool.
Active Rock.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, talk about a comeback. I mean, not that you ever really went away.
We did never go away, but yeah, there's obviously things have grown in the last few years in a way that is exciting for us, obviously.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's a redemption story of some kind for you, I feel.
You know what's funny, man? So when I first come back to Coheed, I do this interview with like Modern Drummer or Drum Magazine, and the guy clearly wasn't a Coheed fan. He thought the story was like, I left when we were a local band, and now I come back. And he's like, so what's it feel like? Or did you get on stage and say, holy cow, my band got really big? And I was like, no. And I was like, dude, do you not realize that I'm on the first 3 records? And he was like, oh, I didn't. Papers rustling, like, John, I gotta be honest. He was cool. He's like, I gotta be honest, man, I did not realize that. I was like, yeah, probably hit our commercial peak at this is like 2011 or 2012 when that record came out. And I was like, probably in 05, but yeah, no, we're always looking to forge ahead, and like, I don't mean this in like some kind of like cocky or self-assured way, but like, I never felt like we were struggling ever. Like, we never played till
but you know why? I mean, I listened through all the albums, and it is striking to me how solid the material stays. I mean, the double record as your comeback was like, holy shit.
No, I love those records.
So
I dare I say, I even like, Catch Me on Wednesday, my favorite record is this. Catch Me on Thursday, it's totally different. I'm like that with movies, I'm like that with everything, but there are times when I mention the Afterman records like in with the top 3, and like, I love those albums. They're really special to me. How could they not be? I mean, dude, I was back in Coheed, and let's be real, it was a little bit sad, Fred. I had to call you and tell you, like, hey man, I'm gonna go back to Coheed. And I remember I can hear your voice in my head. You went, no man, no, that's great, man. No, Josh, dude, I'm happy for you. And that meant a lot to me, man, because like, it was not an easy call to make. And
So as far as you recently came off tour with Coheed. You were telling me the Riot Fest was like the insanely huge crowd, maybe the biggest crowd you ever played for.
Biggest engaged crowd, like yeah, for sure. Because if you looked over the whole lexicon of Coheed shows, maybe there was we played Reading and there was 80,000 people and 2,500 cared. But that was one of those, and we've all had those shows where it's like, whoa, that one I'll remember. And there were some tears from management. I mean, it was really something else.
I mean, and Riot Fest was timed perfectly with us coming out of COVID.
Yeah, completely.
A return to shows.
It was a bunch of bands' first shows back. It was like Circa's first show, Thrice's first. So backstage, everybody's nervous as can be. Luckily, we already had a good week and a half of shows under our belt, so we're like, hey, we're back in the saddle. We're good. But the crowd was, I don't know that I'd ever seen Coheed play and saw a crowd where I could not see the end of it no matter where I looked. That means as far down that way.
Holy shit.
And it never ended. And as far down that way. And it was special. It was and they were engaged with us, and I was like, holy cow. And I told you how it came after we played another show called Summerfest. And we love Milwaukee, dude. Milwaukee is the shit. And it just didn't, I don't know why, there was not many people there. It was
One of the last things I want to ask you is, you guys just came off of the SS Neverender cruise.
Yeah,
for
how
Coheed and Cambria cruise.
It's crazy, right?
Amazing. I should have just gone and been a spectator.
You should have come and played. I think from now on, we were so overwhelmed by the whole thing, and it was kind of like we're passengers on this train, like we're going to adhere to the people who really know how to, and then COVID happens, I would be shocked if we don't ask you to do the next one with us. I mean, you really should have. There's your band, Breaking Pangaea, displayed in the case there, and it's like, God, well, your friend should have really been here. But I think, we're a little bit more comfortable with it. We had so much fun, and it was such a special thing for us and the family. It just could not have been better, dude. It was really, and it was a lot of work, but man, what?
So on a cruise like that, do you just play once, or do you play I never knew if the headliner plays every night.
Well, I played 5 shows, but Coheed played 3. I did my Weird Science show, and then Travis did a Fire Do show.
And you drummed?
I drummed. We all dressed up too. Claudio played keys. I drummed. Zach played bass. Kevin, our guitar tech, played guitar. And we all wear wigs and tights and dress up. And it's a really fun thing.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah. And they wanted Weird Science to headline because they were like, listen, we think Weird Science is going to go over. But thank God Weird Science. I said, I've done too many rap shows to know, following a band with a bunch of guys. And it's now here's a guy screaming into a mic with an iPod playing everything. It doesn't work. And listen, if Weird Science was going out on a tour and there was a budget, I would have a live band. All day, something badass. I'd tap the dudes from P-Funk to come play with me.
So speaking of that, the cruise was supposed to be Weird Science's last show.
Yeah, I think that was one part, let's create as much mystique as possible so we don't get booed off stage. And one part, I just am, and I actually said this on the cruise, a lot of Weird Science was exercising certain demons. It really was. Art is, sometimes it's stream of conscious, sometimes it's, just you kind of say whatever and piece together the meaning after, and other times it's a really cathartic, powerful way of exercising these deeply powerful, dark things oftentimes for me, and it's been exercised. I gotta tell you, it feels really foreign.
We listened to Sick Kids a lot in the Terrible Things van.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't
dark,
quite out yet.
I die at the end of the record. It's a girl screaming. It's embarrassing. I'm but that was,
it needed to happen.
I was depressed. Of course I was. I had slashed and burned my entire life. I had shit all over, the guys that I called my brothers, and then just disappeared on them without a care for the energy that they've put in. And I was deeply depressed and had a lot of atonement to do.
So do you feel it got too hard to do more Weird Science songs because you're too content now?
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, but not. I can do them. I just feel like it just feels like they were written by. Hey, man, I'm 41.
Yeah, you were 25 then.
Yeah, 25 and angry and filled with piss and vinegar and wanted to. I'm gonna get in there and show the world like, yeah, I'm a player hater. I hate all you. Fuck you. Give me a beer. Fuck you. And I'm just like now I'm like. Do you guys want to talk about like the Mets or something? Like I'm like a soft guy. I mean, hello, dude. If I could make, I'm gonna make a Christmas rap record about how much I love decorating. Now that I could pull from because I got stuff. But what am I going to talk about anymore? I mean, I already made 3 records about alien abduction. I can't do a 4th one. I mean, what am I doing? You know?
All right. Well, Josh, I'm glad this finally happened.
Oh God, we could probably stay here for like 5 hours and just bullshit.
No.
That's what we've done all day, is just talk and hang out.
2 days now, and but hopefully in the future we'll do something on the shed musically together.
I would love that, man.
You could come down to the studio.
In Coheed, I get to kind of wear a lot of hats too, and it's like I'm really lucky with that, dude. I'm in a band that I get to kind of like scratch that itch and like,
yeah,
you get the kind of mathy itch and you get that super pop thing where it's like, God, I remember when we first did Blood Red Summer, I thought it was kind of like the Cars meets the Strokes or something, but there's still many itches to be scratched, and I always envision playing with you again.
We're here now 20 years later, so.
And we're lucky to be, yeah.
All right, thanks guys. Thanks for joining me, Josh. It's one of those words like.
Do you remember when I said it was a mute point? No, but mute point makes sense to me. That's why. And then I told Fred that I thought it was the 16th chapel, and you were like, yeah. Fred goes. And I was like, and then I found out what it was. And Fred was like, yeah, and also because you went to high school. And I was like, oh, sick bird, dude. But I thought till I was like 22, 23, that it was the 16th chapel. I just always heard, dude, there's a million of them for me. Like, yeah, mute point. I thought it was mute point. I read moot point before, but it just didn't connect for me. But like, I can remember a million with me.
See, now I'm a total dick because
no, you're the best.
I could be like, oh, I don't remember you getting mute point wrong, but I brought it up first.
Oh, I know.